Hello everyone, good morning. Octavius here with North American Archery. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Today I have a product review for you, and it's the XX75 Camo Hunters by Easton Archery. Now here's the thing guys, a lot of us shoot different types of arrows, and mostly guys today shoot carbon arrows because carbon arrows are durable, they're mass produced, and they're the fad in today's time. But there was a time where aluminum arrows was where it was at. Okay, so I want to give you a brief history on these XX75s by Easton. They have a nostalgic value. They're a tremendous arrow, and it's what I'm shooting in today's time. I'm shooting it because it's just a fantastic arrow. It has a low price point, and it has that nostalgia that everybody knows about by shooting an aluminum arrow. Here's a brief look at it. Here's the Camo Hunters right here, fully fletched, ready to go. And I'm gonna go ahead and break it down for you here in a bit of what my setup is gonna be this year. But I first wanna go through the history of how we got to this point with the XS75s. In 1922, a long time ago, okay, Doug Easton started his archery company in his garage. Okay, in his garage in Wattsville, California, building wooden arrows and bows. So he started out just literally making wooden arrows and bows. He didn't even do aluminum at the time, and that was in 1922. Then in the 1930s, Doug began experimenting with aluminum tubing arrows. Then within a few years, these aluminum arrows were at the top of the national championship podiums, literally. All over the country, people were shooting this in the national championships versus a wooden arrow. Probably because it was a stiffer arrow and it was more durable than a wood arrow. It wouldn't break as easy, okay? Even though aluminum arrows are sometimes notorious for bending and snapping, they were still more durable and more reliable in those days than the cedar shafts and so forth and so on in the wood. Then in 1945, after World War II, Doug produced his first branded aluminum shaft. They were called the 24 SRT X's that was available to everyday archers. So the other arrows in the 30s, they were pretty much for professional archers. Then you get in the 1940s, after World War II, aluminum arrows began to come on the scene more for archers that wanted to shoot in their backyard or go hunting. Then in the 1950s, they actually moved away from making fully fletched arrows with the fletchings on it and all the inserts, and they just went to making shafts only, because I'm pretty sure, if you think about it, if you're going to go make aluminum shafts, right, you are making them so people can customize their shaft and do exactly the arrow build that they want to do. That's why I think, but I wasn't alive in 1950, but I think that's probably the case. Then in the early 60s, it brings us to the present day arrow that we're talking about today. In the 60s, we began to, let me turn this camera a little bit because there's a little bit of glare there. In the 60s, one result of them moving locations, because they moved to a bigger facility, is that they started to make the legendary XX75 shafts that we got today. The thing about the shafts is from 1960, 62 to 64, whenever they came out, until present day, these shafts are the same exact stiffness, the same exact weight, the same exact aluminum alloy. Everything's the same from those days. That is a long run. Talking about when some of our dads and grandpas were going out hunting with these arrows, right? They're the same as what they were back then. They have different inserts. Back then, the knock glued into the back of the shaft. Today, they have a unit bushing, and then your knock is fully adjustable by just putting it in there. And we'll go over that in a minute. What comes with these, let me put this down. Let me put my bow down here. What comes with these arrows is you got a knock that comes with it. You can get a different knock if you want to. It's fully adjustable. Then you also got a RPS insert, they call it, which goes up front. Okay, so you can screw your field point or your broadhead into it. Then you also get what's called a super unibushing, and that's that unibushing like I spoke about before here in the back. You also get a 3D knock, they call it, which is that knock. Arrow shaft is about 32 inches long, but you can cut them down. You have to cut this down with a bandsaw or a tube cutter. You can't cut this down by hand or a knife or something like that. It's not like a wood arrow or carbon. You really have to get the right equipment to cut these down. So I don't cut my shafts down. I keep them fully, the full length because of my draw length. But I believe that the best way to do this is to cut it with a bandsaw or a tube cutter, like you would cut copper lines or whatever like that. And those are like $5 to $10 depending on the hardware store you go to. Then another thing is that you can get these bare shafted or fully fletched depending on what you want. Okay. And so these arrows is what I'm going this year with. And the thing about these arrows is that they come fully fletched. You got your unibushing, you got your knock point, and they come with a insert in here, that RPS insert that I think weighs about 20 grains, I think like that, maybe less. But I'm putting a 100 grain insert. So my setup right now is 150 grain up front. Probably going to change that, okay? Because I want probably in my bow 750 to 800 grains. But right now, this is a 150 grain field point, 100 grain insert. Then I have my Easton, obviously Camo Hunter XX75s. You can see, wait a minute. Okay. You can see that this right here is the light ones. These are the XS75s. These are light, and these are the 2315s. I'm probably going to a different size in a minute. I've just been too cheap to buy them, and I gotta buy them now. I'm gonna buy about a couple dozen of them. So what I want to show you is something else. I'm gonna show you this right here, so you can get these for that right there. I just printed this off. Look at that. These right here are $79.99 for a dozen of them. For 1 dozen arrows, fully fletched. Inserts come in the bag. $79.99. You can get these cut. You can get them with the inserts glued into them. Your field points on them for about 120 bucks, okay, from Three Rivers Archery. I would definitely recommend these arrows because for a dozen arrows, you're not going to beat it. The only downside to them is you're going to have to probably put some shrink tube here. The shrink tube that you slip over the arrow shaft, and you want to go ahead and heat it up right here where the fletching meets the actual shaft at the tip here, because these that come with these arrows, they come off these aluminum shafts pretty easily when you shoot things, okay? When you're target practicing and you're shooting animals, these fletchings come off pretty darn easy, all right? I'm just gonna be straight up with you. So what I'm gonna do with my next set, I'm gonna get them fully fletched. They shoot like a dream anyways. They're old school, they have that nostalgia feel. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna put some heat shrink right here. It's just some tubing. You can get it Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever hardware store, online, eBay, Amazon, whatever. And you put it over here, and then you heat it up with a torch, and then it will have the actual adherent necessary to this with a little black little band, so where when it passes through, it's not going to tear up these fletchings. That is one hack you're going to have to do with these arrows, okay? Guaranteed. Now, like I said before, these are $79.99, right? $79.99. They were $150, but I've been buying these from Three Rivers Archery for quite some time, and they're always $79.99. But you have to buy them by the dozen. You can't buy them individually. You got to buy them by the dozen. Now, another thing about the XS75s, they got a couple different types of lines, if you will. A couple different type of names that when you look up online, they'll come up. One is the Legacies. They have a Legacy XS75s. Those are $159 starting now. They have the Jazz and the 6-pack fully fletched for $67.99. And then they got the Game Setters, or the Game Getters, I should say. They're called Game Getters. A lot of folks went hunting with that back in the day. They're a 12-pack for $135.99. And the difference in them, they're the exact same type of arrow. They just have different options when it comes to the spine and so forth. They all have, any XS75 aluminum Easton arrow, They have a 96,000 PSI, pounds per square inch, okay? And they're 7075-T9 alloy. And it's the type of aluminum it is, okay? And the aluminum is not super thick. The game getters tend to be a little bit more heavier in my opinion. The last time I checked, they were a heavier arrow than these arrows here, these camo hunters. That's what the difference in price is, because you can see right here, actually, look at the game getters for a dozen, $159.99. This is a stiffer arrow, as well as it's about the same stiffness, but it's got more aluminum there. It's the same type of aluminum, the 7075 T9, but it's a heavier arrow because the spine chart is completely different. I can show you that here in a minute. So here's the spine chart right here that you're gonna see online. See that spine chart? Okay, you're gonna see right here the model you use, and this is gonna be the spine. Then you got your point, then you got your grains per inch, then you got your length, and so on. Then you got your insert grains, and then you got your knock, which these are all X knocks. That's what that is. That's what you're gonna have in these, okay? And so you're gonna get a forward tone camo finish. You're gonna get all those different things, right? And then you also get this right here. If you can see this in the camera, here's all the accessories you can get. Inserts, you can get inserts that you can glue in to your shaft, and you can go ahead and glue on your wood broadheads, the ones that you would put on your wooden arrows. They have that taper on the front. There's your nocks. There is a Illuminoc too that you can get in as well. Okay, all those things right here. Glue in target points. You can customize this the way you want to customize it. Okay, so you don't have to be locked into anything. They have a lot of versatility to them in 2024. Okay, and so that was a little bit about that. But let me show you these game getters, which is sometimes confused with those. These game getters, you can see that, look at this spine chart, 500, 400, and 340. That's what you got. Grains per inch, the length, the grains. Look at the insert grains, 42 grains, 29, 23. The knocks are super. So they're a little different. They're the same alloy, the same XX75s, the same manufacturer, but this is gonna be a heavier arrow than you will get in the camo hunters, okay? So let me tell you a little bit more about the arrow itself. That way you know what you're getting into. These are not as durable as a carbon arrow. This is a gold tip traditional arrow, 340s. I shoot anywhere from a 400 to a 300 or 250 even, depending on the poundage of the bow. But these are 340s right here, fully fletched, okay? These are more money, okay, because they're carbon, but these are more of a durable arrow, okay, more forgiving. You do any type of stump shooting, hunting, you hit a rock, you do anything, these are going to work well. They will break, but not as easily as an aluminum arrow, okay? But they're not as heavy either. You can get an aluminum arrow pretty darn heavy. It'll be like a telephone pole once you release that string. This right here is what most people shoot. They shoot this, or they shoot the micro shafts. Okay, they shoot this type of arrow or a micro shaft. The thing is that these came out in the 1990s. Okay, in the 1990s, these type of arrows, the carbon arrows, came out, and but before then, from the 60s up to the 1990s, everybody, your grandpa, your uncles, your dad, even maybe you and I, we shot aluminum in those days, okay? And so this right here is a viable option. It's very easy to get, very easy to understand. You just put your knock right into the shaft, you glue your insert in, and you screw your field point in. This is the same type of setup, and it's gonna be a little bit lighter weight and a little bit more durable, but it doesn't have the nostalgia feel, and it's more expensive. I think for a dozen of these, I've spent probably like $150 for them, versus I'm over here, I'm spending 80 bucks, okay? So when you shoot a lot of arrows, like I do, you can look at the price point, you look at the nostalgia, you look at how effective they are, and then you roll with the punches. And so when I called over to Three Rivers Archery to get these arrows here, these camo hunters, about 3 or 4 months ago when I started shooting them, they said we still sell a lot of these. I thought they were not going to sell a whole lot. They said, no, these are so popular arrows. Price point is great and everything like that. So I definitely recommend these so far. But here's a couple issues I've had. Number one, you can see that they can bend easy. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Here, right here, this is the shaft right here. You can see there's a bend in there. You can see that bend going that way. These bend very easily. So when you pull these out of your target, you want to grab anyways on any arrow, but you want to grab closer to your insert and pull it out. This one, I think I hit into a tree or something like that, and then I pulled it back here, being a little lazy, and it bent, and I've never been able to bend it back. So it's pretty much just a decoration at this point. But this is how much it bend. I had one bend off, skipping off a rock, skipping off a tree. These bend very easily, but they're a perfect type of arrow to go hunting with, because I've only had about 2 bend. All the other ones were great. Another issue is that they can snap easy. You can see right there how easy that snapped. Okay, this was because I had it stuck into a tree, I think. And when I pulled it out back here, and it snapped, because I wasn't used to shooting these. I was used to shooting my carbons, and I can kind of grab those wherever, it seems like. But these you can't, okay? So you're like saying to yourself, why are you shooting this if these things are so brittle? These are not brittle, it's just user error. I was being an idiot. I didn't know what I was doing. So that's why I'm showing you, so you don't be like me and do stupid stuff. Grab it like you normally grab an arrow, like you're supposed to here, and pull it out. You're fine. Don't go around shooting everything in the world. Don't shoot rocks. Don't shoot a huge log with your field points, and you'll be fine. These are gonna work great, okay? They break easy if you have a user error, and they bend easy if you hit things you shouldn't hit with them, okay? Other than that, they're going to kill, and they're going to hit where you're looking, okay? Now, the broadheads screw right in. This is a magnet stinger. This is probably what I'll be going with this year. It's a variation of this, which is a 4-blade broadhead. Put down the hogs I killed this year with ease, full penetration. I mean, it's amazing how sharp these are still after using them, okay? And then they came with the normal inserts, but I got 100 grain inserts that I use, and I go ahead and I literally glue that in, and now I have 100 grains up front, okay? So guys, I really think that shooting my Bear 59 Kodiak this year with this arrow, you can see how sexy that looks. When I put that sucker on there like that, that sucker looks nice, okay? That looks really nice, old school look, because this is what would have been used in those days. 59 Kodiak would have had wood or aluminum through it back in those days. It wouldn't have had no carbon, okay? That's a new school thing. So I really wanted to do retro this year, old school 59 Kodiak with aluminum arrows. These are woods right here, but probably won't shoot those. I'm shooting the aluminums, okay? And so I definitely recommend these arrows. I think that it's something that you should go ahead and try out and just do some of those things that I told you about. Here's a bare shaft. Still bare shaft, tune them if you need to. I always keep one bare shaft in my quiver when I'm practicing to make sure that I'm still hitting on, especially right now in going into hunting season. But I guarantee you guys, these Easton Camo Hunters XX75s are gonna do a good job on your animals this hunting season. So I wanted to show you my setup, what I'm going with this year, and I'm hoping that you make a decision to go out and try these out, okay? And if all else fails, go ask your grandpa, your dad, your brothers, or your old school neighbor that's an archer. He'll tell you that these are something that you need to invest in, because the price point is great, they're gonna get the job done, and they're gonna hit where you're looking. All right, guys? That was a lot of information. I appreciate your patience. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. But remember this, you don't have to get ready when you stay ready. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.